Episode 51 Winded City Countdown. Gentlemen, I believe this time of year is exactly why we have a podcast right here. One day when probably Ben has Alzheimer's because
Twice Ben's gonna have Alzheimer's.
I don't know. I feel like his hair is going, so maybe like it'll eventually
Seep
trickle down
to the brain.
Yeah, something like that. Loses his hair, loses his mind, right? Don't worry, I'm after you, Ben, and then Matt's gonna have like a perfect brain for the rest of his life because.
No, I doubt it. I played football for a little while, so.
Well, then I stand corrected. Matt's gonna have Alzheimer's first.
Yeah,
definitely. And it'll result in CTE, and he'll have like a headline in a newspaper: "Local man runs down street screaming about dancing in the Jello storm." That's what you'll do.
Good save.
I know. Well, I was going to go super inappropriate, and then I decided not to. But anyways, here we are, episode 51. I hope it's 51. I think that's why I titled it.
You said 50. You said 50 last week, so I just went with 51.
Yeah, I think it's 51. So we're at 51.
Next week we'll be on episode 100.
I'll tell you what, if the Cubs keep doing stuff in the postseason, we might have to do multiple pods throughout. I actually want to do some immediate after the game podcast with Ben, more than anything.
But only
if they win. If they win, I'm down.
No, I want to hear Ben post loss. Like, that sounds terrible.
I want it all. I want everything. So, but we're here. It is the postseason, and it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot, gentlemen. The fact that our Cubs have won 103 games doesn't mean a thing. The fact that the San Francisco Giants had a worse second half than the Braves and the Phillies doesn't mean a thing, because in 4 days
ain't got that ring.
We might be playing them, and well, so here we go. Tonight we're gonna do our top 10. So there are 10 playoff teams. So number 10 is our least likely team to win the championship, and number 1 is the team that we think will win the championship. I think we could. We're gonna. I'm just gonna share number 1 now. Like it's not a surprise, right?
Shouldn't be a surprise,
right? We all went there. It's the Cubs, so we're gonna do some extended Cubs talk at the back end of this podcast when we get to them. We're going to take a look at all the teams that we have ranked 2 through 10 and why we think they're going to be where they are. And then we'll talk about the Cubs and how 108 years can hopefully come to an end in 4 short weeks, which are going to be 4 of the longest freaking weeks ever. So let me ask you, Ben, do you have like a little pit in your stomach right now as we head towards game 1 on Friday? Like, are you feeling anxious, nervous?
No, I mean, I don't think I'll feel it if they lose game 1.
Even though they lost game 1 last year.
It'll be over in my mind. And then they'll win game 2, and then we'll be back.
We are so.
And then they'll lose game 3, and it'll be over. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm nervous, because I want the Cubs to win, and this is the shitty part with baseball is how often does the best team, if you will, the best regular season team win, I guess is what it comes down to. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect other than I think they're going to be a competitive team. I like how the rotation is going to shape up. Your hope is that you get because he's going to be probably matching up with Bumgarner or Syndergaard here in the first round. So, we'll see. I'm not going to get nervous or excited until I see game 1.
Well, Matt, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel the anxiousness? Where are you at? Where's your...
I don't know. It's weird. I think right now I'm okay. But Scott, you and I, we've discussed this probably ad nauseum the last couple of weeks, that game day, Friday, I'm going to be probably super nervous. And the fact that they don't play till 8 something, like, yeah, I know that's only an hour later than they normally play at night, but it's just gonna like add further fuel to the fire of my anxiousness. So right now I'm okay, but I think once we have, because the wild card games are tomorrow, correct?
Tomorrow and Wednesday.
Okay,
AL
so
tomorrow, NL Wednesday, and then the AL playoffs open Thursday. NL playoffs open Friday.
Okay. So yeah, I think once I know I think after Wednesday, once we know who they're playing, I think I'll probably start to get a little more anxious, a little more nervous, but it's a culmination of how many months? I mean, 4 or 5 months right now of baseball that they've been playing. So, and to me, it doesn't even seem possible that it's playoffs. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for since spring training. I saw something that I remember if it was Jesse Rogers or somebody who covers the team posted a photo of the moment when Dexter Fowler showed back up at camp. And just making the mention of, doesn't this feel like this was just yesterday? And it does sort of feel like that, but I'm excited. Baseball's coming, or playoff baseball's coming, but come Friday, I'm probably going to be a nervous wreck.
I'm already nervous. I find myself thinking about that game one far too much, and it's interesting. Like in other sports, there's like a day between every game. Mm-hmm. Except for football. So it's really interesting that Friday, Saturday, Monday, there's going to be it's going to be fast. It's going to be
it could be done.
Yeah, it can be done Monday.
Quickly, yes.
Yeah. We could have 3 days.
Yeah, and that's it. And we're going to go, whoa, wait a minute, that was a series. How is that over already? So that idea terrifies me. I don't know. I hate everything about this. So we'll talk some more about the Cubs and all that shortly. Quickly though, the White Sox did make a change. I love how it's being reported as Ventura has decided not to come back. It's really easy to not come back when you don't have a contract. So I'm not sure what that's about. I'm really disappointed in the Sox not going full dismantling of the organization. I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed for Sox fans that it's Kenny behind the wheel still. Matt, your thoughts on Kenny Williams behind the wheel still?
Oh, he's definitely still behind the wheel. Come on. I think this is another thing we've talked about so much, that as long as Jerry Reinsdorf is in charge, he's going to have his guys there. And as much as they say Kenny is not running the show per se, he's running the show.
That's people say Theo's not running the show at the Cubs.
Yeah, the Jed's the GM or the GM. Yeah, in name he's the GM, but I'm sure 100% of those moves go through Theo. And as
the GM, Jed has a very, very important seat at the table. It's not the head of the table, but it's at the table. It's at the close. It's a very small table. It seats 6 to 8 people, and Jed's got a seat that's like on the corner next to Theo. And Kenny Williams. Ben, have you seen the opener for The Office yet? Because Ben's in the middle of an Office rewatch. Did you watch the opener where Jim created like Mega Desk?
No, I think that's a little further down from what I think that's like a later season.
So for those of you that don't know, so Jim in one of the openers creates like a 2-story desk that towers above everybody else in the office. And
spoiler alert. Jeez, thanks, man.
Well, you don't even have to watch the rest of the series now.
And that's what I like to think Kenny Williams has set up. Like people walk in and Kenny Williams is sitting at Mega Desk and everybody else is just like at their regular desk. Like, and, they have to like stare up at Kenny, like Kenny. And Kenny's like, shut up, I'm at Mega Desk.
I feel like Kenny's like never there. Like this is how I picture Kenny Williams' job is like he's never there, but they have to call him to make any decision. So like he'll be like, on like the 7th hole, and Rick Hahn will be like, hey Kenny, thanks for picking up your phone this time. Hey, can we make this trade? Whose decision was it? Well, it was mine. No. And then he just slaps his big dick on the table and he's like, this is my show. I didn't research it. I'm just going to go with no because it wasn't my decision. That's how I picture the White Sox being run right now.
I like
by a guy who
that description.
Just isn't even out there. Just I didn't come up with the idea, so this is a terrible decision. Now go sign me some 40-year-old bullshit downhill end a career player for $10 million.
Yeah,
Ken Griffey Jr. Come on,
Griffey still available? Can we get Griffey?
Manny, is Manny still around?
I mean, Kenny Williams would probably be the first guy to actually sign somebody who's inducted into the Hall of Fame already, so wouldn't surprise me.
Ricky Henderson. I'm sure he'd still play for the right price.
Yeah, it's just
even minimal dollars.
There was the rumors floating around that he was gone, and obviously it sounds too good to be true.
And it was.
I just hope part of me wants them to go for it again just to give Ricky Renteria an actual chance. They said, the rumor floating around was that they're going to make a splash into free agency. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, for who?
Cespedes?
Like
is Cespedes
the only, if he opts out, yeah. Is you have Encarnacion from the Blue Jays and Bautista from the Blue Jays. So that's two, 36, 37-year-old guys.
Mm-hmm.
Dexter Fowler?
Matt Holliday. That's such a White Sox signing.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like it. I don't know.
Might as well just.
Well, anyways, the Sox have some thinking to do, and it sounds like Ken Williams isn't really gonna. He's gonna let a lot of people think. Not a lot of people do. So, all right, let's get to why the people are here, or not here. We got
Hey, if we just keep telling ourselves that, right?
That's right. So we have a top 10 list. And I'm going to sneeze, so I need to mute my microphone.
Okay, we have a top 10 list, and this top 10 list covers our top 10 best teams in the playoffs. Meaning,
I lost the sneeze.
So, yeah, essentially we took the 10 teams.
Do you guys hate that?
And we
I'm interrupting this. Ben, I'm interrupting you. I lost the sneeze. Is that the worst thing that can possibly happen to a human that is not actually terrible? That is not actually terrible.
Losing a poop is way worse.
Ooh. Top 10 things you lose. Poop, sneeze,
your wallet,
your cell phone, your kid in a department store.
Where is my freaking cell phone?
Have you lost Amelia in a department store yet?
No.
And I don't mean like lost.
Responsible parent.
I don't mean like lost, but like you turn around and you have like a momentary second of fear. You're like, shit. And then, you turn the corner, she's right there.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, I've already done that with Sebastian. That was the worst.
Wait, did you really?
Way to go.
Yeah, we were at Kohl's, and I put him down for a second, and then, I looked at, he was, he ran around the corner, and I, about had a freak out. I was like, oh, boy, Katie's going to kill me.
See, I was going to say, what was your first thought? Where's my kid? Or, oh, shit, Katie's going to kill me.
Yeah, I would have to explain this to Katie. So, anyways, all right. Ben, go ahead. Continue with explaining our top 10 list now that
So again, we took the 10 teams in the playoffs and we ranked them on obviously number 10 being least likely to win and number 1 being most likely to win, if you will, or who we think's going to win as opposed to who we think doesn't stand a chance. So it's just the 10 teams in the playoffs and we ranked them that way.
Okay. So with that being said, obviously our 8, 9, 10 or 7, 8, 9, 10 really should be made up of the wild card teams. That they're the least. They're in theory the least likely to win the World Series because they have an extra game they have to play. I'm going to start out this conversation by saying I'm really, really thankful that the Cubs don't have to do that again, because that was not fun last year. Until Fowler and Schwarber got it started early last year, so that felt good. But it was still not fun knowing that the entire season came down to one game. So I don't envy any of these teams. Baltimore finishes at 10. Did we all pick Baltimore to lose to Toronto?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's why I have Toronto above them. So
I'll be completely honest, because I haven't really, other than the NL side of things, really followed along with baseball this year. Had no idea the Orioles were.
That's why I'm here, guys.
Yeah, had no
So-
idea where the Orioles were even
Matt, you
this
you
good.
picked the Orioles to win the East. So
Yeah, but that was just a
They
hunch.
actually-
I don't know.
they
That was
actually
months
underachieved
ago.
a little bit for you.
So looking at them and what they do well, it's hard to say. I mean, they got Manny Machado, who
They don't pitch except for
No.
a bullpen. I think they have a pretty good bullpen though.
They lead the majors with 253 home runs, so they could rake.
Manny Machado has an offensive WAR of 5.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. Like that's a guy that I want
mean,
taking me
Again,
into.
they have a shutdown bullpen. It's going to be a matter of
Can you get him
if
the
you
ball?
can get to their starting pitch.
Where
If you can get to their starting pitch. Go ahead.
where is the game on? Because I'm just realizing that I don't know where. Where's the game? Is it in Toronto? Right?
I thought so, but
Yeah, it's in
I
Toronto.
honestly don't know for sure.
7:08 start tomorrow. So, and I thought that's what it was, and now I'm like doubting. I just, man, that dome rocks up in Toronto. I mean, it wasn't enough last year to overcome the mighty Kansas City Royals.
Boy, I want a Joey Bats bat flip so bad.
Oh, tomorrow night,
Tomorrow night, that'd be
8th inning,
great.
it's 3-3, and he hits a 3-run homer and just like goes full on Joey Bats. Yes, I would love that.
Please sign me up for that, please.
So Ben, since you've done some work here, why Baltimore over or why Toronto over Baltimore for you?
I don't think Baltimore has any starting pitching. I mean, if you can get 3-4 early runs off of them and you force them to go to their bullpen, which is very good. I mean, I'm not going to knock that, but I think if you get to that bullpen early, and then even if they get through Toronto, I don't think they have enough to get through Boston, just because, again, I think their starting pitching is absolutely terrible. Again, they do have the bullpen, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough in this situation. At the end of the day, their offense really seems to be like a hit or miss thing. Again, for the not so many Baltimore Oriole games I've actually watched, it seemed like they would be like a 10-run game
We're
or
losing
like a 1-run game.
We lost Ben a little bit there.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
that-
Ben said if it could be a
that's what
10-run game or
It
it could
came
be a
down.
1-run
There's
game.
the bat.
And Ben's gone.
All right, so it's the Scott and Matt show.
All right, cool. So we'll find Ben. Ben's gonna step out and come back. So I mean, looking at the numbers, Manny Machado, really good. Like Manny Machado.
Yes.
I like that Trumbo hit 40.
Who's starting?
It's
Do you know
gonna be
who's starting for them? Tillman.
Tillman for the Orioles and Stroman for the Blue Jays. You look at when you're looking at that offensive WAR, like a 5 WAR for Machado is really, really good. But you know what? Our old friend Josh Donaldson over there has a 7.2 WAR. So I'm pretty sure that according to the advanced metrics makes him the best offensive player in this series. So when all else fails in these coin flip games, I'm going to take the team with the best offensive player. I'm going to take the team with the best pitching. I'm going to take the team that is at home and with a true home field advantage.
Going up there and playing in a dome of all places for a playoff game, like a place that gets exponentially louder with more people. Yeah, I don't envy the Orioles in this situation.
All right, so that was our number 10. And then since we've talked Toronto, we have Toronto who would then play the Rangers. Toronto is our number 7 team. So they kind of get phased out there. But I will say I don't know that I'd sleep on Toronto against Texas, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Then our 8 and 9 teams come from the NL wild card, and we've got the Giants and the Mets. I thought I picked the Mets, if I'm not mistaken, and you both picked the Giants. Is that right, Ben? Something like that, maybe?
What do you mean?
For
on the list,
I had the Mets higher than the Giants on my personal list.
No, you didn't have the Giants at all.
No.
Or the Mets at all.
Really?
No, he means on his countdown on your top 10 for this week.
I thought he meant division winners from earlier this year.
Oh, no. I thought I had the Mets. You guys had the Giants. So, Ben, what is your thought process on the Giants here?
This is more the Mets than the Giants.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to go with Madison Bumgarner in this situation. The guy's just always electric in the playoffs. So one game for them, and then understand they have to get through that. But I guess I also took into consideration which team has a better chance to moving on. Not just this one game. I didn't just have this one game decided. And if you were to ask me, could the Mets win a 5-game series against the Cubs right now, I'd say no. If you ask me now, I'd say they at least have a chance. So that was my thought process. But at the end of the day, it's Madison Bumgarner. That's the sole reason why.
Okay. Maddie?
Yeah, kind of hard to disagree with Ben there, just because if it's a full series, I'm probably going Mets. But when you got Bumgarner on the mound, you got to feel pretty good about your chances. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. And honestly, I mean, the fact that the Mets got here to this point, I mean, Scott and I, we talked about this the other day, that they got here, but they weren't really beating a bunch of world beaters, in the process to get to this point. I mean, still an accomplishment to come back, fight back the way they did to land the wild card, one of the wild card spots. But I don't know. There's something about this Mets team that I don't really trust. So I guess we'll just see. I'll take
they're pure trash. Is really, other than Syndergaard and Bartolo Colon.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that if you get past their top 2 starters, then I mean, because Bartolo is going in the wild card game, right?
No, it's Syndergaard.
Or Syndergaard. Oh yeah, duh, you just said that. But yeah, either way, I'm taking the Giants.
So I'm going to look at the last 5 starts for Syndergaard versus Baumgartner. They both have one game in there that they both would like back for sure against a bad opponent. Baumgartner gave up 5 runs in 6 innings against the Padres. Syndergaard gave up 5 runs in 3 2/3 of an inning against the Braves. Otherwise, Baumgartner gave up 2 against Washington, none against the Reds, 1 against Washington, and 1 against the Marlins. Baumgartner in his last 5, 4 against the Diamond, or last 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. So 4 against the Diamondbacks, 3 against the Padres, 0 against the Dodgers, and 3 against the Dodgers. So he's given up a couple more runs. He's gone just as deep. So it's not as though Bumgarner's been pitching lights out like he can. He's still super dangerous. But I don't know. I'm going to go into meatball land here for this one. And part of why I picked the Mets is it just feels like the Cubs have to go against the Mets. And I don't know why, but it just feels like that's the stage that's going to be set up here for the first round is going to be Cubs Mets. And
like almost because it has to be.
And there's no logic behind that. It's not like I'm sitting here going, well, this is just because I'm literally saying the Mets are going to beat the Giants because the Mets are supposed to play the Cubs, because that's what the Cubs are going to have to go up against here to win a World Series. That makes no sense whatsoever, but that's what I'm going to go with. And because it's baseball and it's a coin flip and it's one game, it's sure. Right? Like Giants have been bad, Mets have been good. Giants have the better roster, Mets don't really give a fuck. And that's what they've been doing for the last month and change. So there's that. But needless to say, we have the Giants at 8 and the Mets at 9 because we believe that the Cubs are going to win it all because that's what we believe. And so those teams aren't going to go anywhere, we think. And then we have the Blue Jays at 7. So let's talk quickly about Blue Jays Rangers because that's kind of where this goes. So the Blue Jays beat the Orioles, and then they're going to go on and they're going to face the Texas Rangers. Ben, what do you like about the Texas Rangers? Is there anything? Is there anything to like?
Their offense.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, their offense is solid. They scare the crap out of me because, I mean, they have an 8-run differential. I mean, that's a team that won, what, 94 games? 93 games, something like that?
95.
95 games, had an 8-run differential.
+8, yeah.
That's borderline. I mean, that can't be like a normal thing, is my guess. I
would assume so, yeah.
Their expected win-loss is 82-80. They are 13 games better than what they're expected to be. But here's what it does. 36-11 in one-run games this year. 36-11.
Yeah, whereas the Cubs were
the Cubs in one-run games were 22-23. They had 500.
I guess for me, their offense is really, really good. And I mean,
is it though? Is it really, really,
no,
really good? I mean, they scored 3 runs less than the Mariners. They were outscored in the American League by the Indians, the Red Sox, and then they're in the same pack as the Orioles, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, and the Astros. I mean, listen, I want to just, for our listeners' sake, you're saying, oh, it's a +8 run differential for the Rangers. The other playoff teams, their run differentials, Boston +184, Baltimore +29, Toronto +93, Cleveland +101, the Nationals +151, the Mets +54, the Dodgers +87, the Giants +84, and the Chicago Cubs a +252. I mean, the Cubs outscored the Texas Rangers by 200, and yet are only 8 games better.
The Cubs are better than the Rangers. So I don't know.
But the point I'm trying to make though is the Cubs outscored the Rangers by 244 runs this year, and are only 8 games better in the standings than them, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I guess again, I think they have at least 2 pitchers. Hopefully, I mean, they're going to have Cole Hamels. If I don't know, is Yu Darvish healthy enough to where he's going to be playing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of an X factor for them. I mean, if they have Cole Hamels and Yu Darvish able to give them, 2 solid starts, yeah. I mean, I'm still going to stick with. I think they have a really solid offense. I mean, remember they added Beltran and Lucroy and Carlos Gomez after the deadline, or at the deadline, and then after the deadline. So, at least on paper, they look like they have a solid offense that's going to compete for at least keep them in contention. I mean, again, we had them 6, I believe, right? So I think that's kind of where we all feel with them.
They're tied for 5th.
Mm-hmm. I had them 3rd.
Yeah, that was a little surprising when I saw that. I had them 6th, I know for a fact. But I guess, yeah, that's where I'm at. Is it's a coin flip between those two. You were asking me what I feel more comfortable with, if I would feel better about the Rangers if they played the Orioles. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, they won 95 games. They're obviously, but yeah, I mean, the 1-run games, the run differential doesn't really give them a ton of credit towards those 95 wins. But at the end of the day, they got the wins, and that's all it takes, especially in the playoffs when you're going to see a lot of 1-run, 2-run games. So, oh, Scott's got his sneeze back.
Oh, I could hear it too. I'm upstairs. I could hear him downstairs sneezing.
I cough. Sorry. Yeah. So So first off, Yu Darvish has pitched 5 times in the month of September. He had a start against Oakland where he gave up 7 runs in 5 innings. He had a start against Houston where he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings, and then he gave up 1 run in 6 2/3, 0 runs in 7, and a run in 6 innings. So
coming in hot.
I guess. I mean, you could look at it that way. As far as that run differential goes, as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to go back to 2007 that the last time the Cubs made the playoffs back-to-back years, and that was the first one. And they played the Arizona Diamondbacks. That Arizona Diamondbacks baseball team
that everybody said we should mop the floor with.
Yes, that went 90-72, had a run differential of -20.
Wow.
And they went to the NLCS that year against the Phillies, I believe. No, the Rockies. That was that
crazy Rockies run they had.
I believe that was it. They ended up beating in game 163, they beat the Padres to get in.
Didn't they sweep their way into the World Series or something?
Close, it was something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, again, what does run differential actually mean? Now nothing, right? It doesn't mean squat. So, but looking back at my list, I had the Rangers actually at 7. I have them. I had Toronto really high. And I thought
you had them 4 or 5.
Yeah, I really like Toronto a lot. They can mash the ball, and I like that dome. I know it didn't make a difference last year against the Royals. They played the Royals last year for the ALCS, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they could get right back there and do it again, but we'll wait and see. I had the Rangers 7th though. For all the things I'm saying, run differential doesn't matter. I don't know. I just don't feel like they're.
Well, they have massive pitching. Their bullpen is awful.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a big part of it as well. So, as far as the runs go, I mean they've scored 759. How much less was that than the Rangers?
Who scored 759? The Blue Jays.
Blue Jays.
6 runs less, but almost 100 runs allowed less too.
So, yeah, I mean their bullpen is god awful. So I certainly think that's gonna play a part. I guess I don't know. I just
3rd most runs allowed in the AL. We'll see. So anyway, we've got the Rangers there at a tie for 5th. That brings us into our first series that doesn't involve a wild card team, and our other team that's 5th is the Washington Nationals, and they're going to be going head to head with the Dodgers. I want the Cubs to play the Nationals for one reason and one reason only.
Shut down.
They're hurt.
No,
to shut down Daniel Murphy.
Nope. The guy that sits his ass on the bench in that dugout.
Oh, Dusty.
Dusty.
After he sat his ass on that bench in the dugout in 0-3 in Game 6 and chewed his toothpick and then had his little son sit on his lap to deflect from the media.
Remember when JT Snow saved Dusty Baker's son's life?
I do remember that, and that was hilarious.
And now his son's 38 years old or something.
Yeah, he was 4 in 2002, and this year he turned 38. It's
math.
Quite impressive.
That's Common Core math.
That is Common Core math right there. So yeah, the Nationals. So they're hurt. Daniel Murphy hasn't played in a little bit. Strasburg's not going to pitch in the postseason, I believe. Right? He's shut down. Ben.
Yeah, he's shut down.
He was. I don't know if they officially determined anything for the playoffs, but I know he was shut down to end the season. My guess is he's not pitching.
Yeah, and when all of a sudden he's not,
and they just lost Wilson Ramos to torn ACL, their starting catcher, who was having a pretty good season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Ramos. Let's see, he had 22 home runs, 80 RBIs, was hitting 307. Slugged 496. So yeah, that's a huge loss in their lineup. I mean, their lineup's filled with a bunch of old dudes. I mean, Ryan Zimmerman's getting old. Jason
at the end of the day, though,
if
if Bryce Harper gets hot, you don't want to face them. But yeah, I think the starting pitching right there, you said it. I mean, if you can get through Scherzer, everything else is winnable. And I mean, the Cubs have already shown they could get to Scherzer. They also were shut down by Scherzer.
Like many teams.
Like a lot of teams.
Yeah, I guess what it's going to come down to, and this is, I don't want to talk too much about it until we start talking about the Cubs. It's going to be that's the kind of pitcher Scherzer that I don't want to face just because. But you're going to have to face one, either him or Kershaw. So I guess take that for what it is. So.
Right, and looking at the NL playoffs, I mean, there's not really a team that throws a second line starter out there that makes you go,
Oh my
"Holy
god!
cow."
Yeah.
What is that? How are like you can't get by. The Cubs are the one team. If you're looking at stats,
I think Dodgers are the closest.
Yeah, who they
Yeah,
trot out
Kershaw
as who's the second
Rich
guy?
Hill.
Rich Hill, and he's
Rich
not.
Hill, yeah.
I mean, he's not even.
Well, the Nationals too. I mean, Tanner
Pretty
Rourke
good.
isn't all that bad. Tanner Rourke's got a lower ERA than Scherzer does.
Yeah.
So Rourke's got a 2.83. Scherzer's got a 2.96. So, I mean, he's just. I guess probably because he doesn't have the big name recognition. Maybe you don't think of him in that same light.
What are Rourke's strikeouts? Because that's the thing that always worries me.
Let's see. Strikeouts per 9, he's at 7.4. In comparison, Scherzer is at 11.2 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing that
He has the lowest
is
strikeout rate of the starting pitcher of their starting pitchers.
The strikeout pitchers are the ones that I always worry with the Cubs. If they're going to make contact, at least they'll be okay. It's when they can't even get solid
When they
contact.
just whiff on guys,
Yeah, they're just not hitting the ball. That's what worries me with the Cubs. Still, even though we added Hayward, who stinks, and Ben Zobrist, who's at least getting better again. So,
yeah. So looking at the strikeouts per 9, your top guys in the postseason: Scherzer at 11.1, Syndergaard at 10.6.
Lester's got to be up there, right? Or Lackey's got to be up there. I'm betting.
Nope, not per 9.
Yeah, Lackey's at 8.6. Because here's the Cubs. Lester's got an 8.7. Arrieta's got an 8.7. Hendricks has an 8.1. Lackey's got an 8.6, and Jason Hamill, who won't pitch, has a 7.8. I'm actually surprised. I thought Lackey's strikeout numbers were a little bit higher, but
so I had the Nationals 5. Ben, did you and Matt, did you all have the Nationals lower than the Dodgers?
I had the Nationals 4, and yeah, because I had Dodgers 6.
Okay, so
yeah, I had the Dodgers 3, I think 3 or 4.
So Ben, what do you like about the Dodgers?
I think their offense is pretty good. I think they have 2 solid starters with Kershaw and Hill. Bullpen is okay, at least at the end there. They got a decent closer. They're a good team. I think they have depth. Again, it's just I think it's a team that's going to be able to manufacture runs. I mean, and I think their starting pitching will be able to go, one-on-one with the Cubs. I mean, if you got to play in a 7-game series, if you're going to draw Kershaw potentially 3 times, that doesn't make me feel good at all. So, but again, say what you will about Kershaw in the postseason and his struggles, it's still Clayton Kershaw, and I want nothing to do with him. So,
no, I agree. The only thing you have going for you is he the right Clayton Kershaw? Right? Is he right? Is he hurting? Is he not hurting?
My guess is he's going to be getting a lot of shots in his back.
Yeah, I
get. I mean, if you look, here's where I would look at it. So, just the way I kind of look at these, see different depending on how long the series go. Like game 1, Kershaw versus Lester. I mean, I love John Lester, but I'm going Kershaw. Game 2, Rich Hill versus Kyle Hendricks. Obviously, on paper right now, you're going Hendricks just because of the season that he just put together. But I'm still waiting for that bottom to drop out on Kyle Hendricks. Rich Hill, again, I'm not saying he's the greatest thing ever, but he's been on fire since the middle of last season. Some injury problems, but
here's where I'm going to challenge you though, Ben. Like on one hand, you're saying you're waiting for the bottom to drop out on Hendrick. Shouldn't you be waiting for the bottom to drop out on Rich Hill as well? Especially when we've seen Rich Hill be a bad baseball player before.
Oh, bite your tongue.
What?
I've seen him.
I'm kidding.
I've seen him pitch like 30 times.
Yes, me too. And every time I saw him pitch, he was dog shit.
I'm just saying. I just Kyle Hendricks is
my problem.
Go ahead.
The problem I have is if if Kyle Hendricks isn't hitting his spots, what can happen? It can get really bad really quickly because he just doesn't have anything overpowering that's just going to get him out of the inning.
Yeah, it's all command.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I feel like at least Rich Hill can pull back and strike somebody out if he really has to. And we've seen Hendricks 11 strikeout games, but that's not a consistent thing. That's not what he's going to do. Again, I'll take a guy who's got a stronger arm in October than a guy who's got a little bit less of an arm who's hitting his spots, just because in this kind of weather, you're not going to be able to do nearly as much damage as basically what is he, an 88 mile per hour fastball? Is that what Hendricks tops out at? I think he hits 90 once in a while, but I don't know. I guess, yeah. And I mean, that's what I'm saying is the fact that we're having this conversation tells you that could go either way, Hill or Hendricks. Mm-hmm. So I guess, yeah, the bottom could certainly drop out for either side, but how long can Kyle Hendricks honestly just continue to have? I mean, what did his ERA finish at anyway? I know it was at 1.99 going into his last start. What was it?
2.13.
Jesus, what did he do in his last start?
He gave up 4 runs.
That was it, and it jumped him up. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. His FIP is like a 3.5 or something like that. So I love Kyle Hendricks, but I think he's pitching well beyond what
he really
will. So I just feel like it's a matter of time before something.
Sure, I'm not saying I necessarily disagree with you, because that's my big concern for Kyle as well, is when does the bottom fall out? It's just, again, I think it's unfair to say, well, Kyle Hendricks is, I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out on him. I mean, I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out on Rich Hill then as well. I mean, and that's, I don't think that's a wrong thing to say. I just think it's the nature of what.
Well, yeah, and I mean, are you going to take what Rich Hill has been for the last year? Was he even this good last year? I honestly don't remember, but
he really didn't pitch that much last year. He pitched
110,
29 innings total innings. No, that was last year was 2015. He had 29 innings with the Red Sox, and he had a 2.27 ERA, and then he got that deal from Oakland. I mean, but he was really good. I'm sorry, he had a 1.55 ERA with Boston last year, and this year in 110 innings, 1.2 ERA. So he finished better than Hendricks. So
how remarkable is that turnaround for him too? Like, how often does something like that happen, especially with a pitcher at that age? I mean, he was part of what was his last year in Chicago? Like
2008.
Yeah, 2008. And 8 years later, he is all of a sudden like the bee's knees. I hate that I just said that, by the way, but I don't know, just crazy. But but like Scott, I understand your point too. Like, if you're gonna be judgmental about whether or not the bottom's going to drop out on Kyle Hendricks, I think you have to look at the history of Rich Hill and say, well, when's that going to happen to him? Because he's had far more bad outings, I would assume, than he's had good outings.
Right, because I mean, he was out of the league. So anyway, so we have the Dodgers at 4, and then rounding out the 3-2 through 10 is the Cleveland Indians, which means our list puts Boston in the World Series technically. I think the Indians are going to the World Series. I think the World Series is going to be a battle to end very long droughts in 2 cities, and I'm hoping that Cleveland goes back to being Cleveland. But I like Cleveland. Ben, what do you like about Cleveland to get them to the ALCS but not to the championship series?
Well, that one was really a coin flip for me, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
I think mine is more I really like Boston's offense. Banking on David Price. Finding some sort of David Price like pitching rather than the complete crap he was this year for the most part. I just think Boston can match it. That's really what it comes down to. Cleveland does have pitching, but I think is their pitching a little banged up right now? I thought
I
they
didn't
had a
think
couple
so,
guys
but
hurt, but
you could be absolutely right.
Who's that?
Yes.
Boston?
No, Cleveland.
no,
Oh, Cleveland. Yeah.
Cleveland.
What's his name? Isn't one of their frontline starters banged
that's
up a
what I
little bit?
thought, but again, I could be wrong on that, but I thought that was the case. Again, just going back to at least what Boston 93 and 69. If you want to talk about the Pythagorean win loss, they were projected at 98 and 64, so they should actually be 5 games better. My God, man! Like this is like easily the best. I mean, next to the Cubs, the best lineup in baseball, probably, and I think you can make a case that this is a better offense all around. I mean, Mookie Betts is just unbelievable. You have David Ortiz playing out of his mind. I mean, David Ortiz at a 401 on base percentage this year, 1021 OPS. Hanley Ramirez still put together a pretty solid season. Xander Bogaerts, again, just an on base machine. Offensively, they're just a tough out. You know, you really have to have just unbelievable pitching to get through it. Cleveland is good, but not, you know, I don't think they have like the complete shutdown pitching staff that they projected out to be. So still a good team. Wouldn't surprise me if they made it.
Kluber is maybe hurt a little bit here because he got through a bullpen session, but he's not starting until game 2, and he's clearly the ace of the Indians.
I thought there was another one. Salazar, is he not hurt? I think, is that the guy I'm thinking of?
It could be.
If he's not hurt, I know he was kind of banged up. Oh, yeah, Carrasco's on the 60-day DL.
Yeah, Salazar threw 30-plus pitches off a mound Wednesday and appears on track to be available out of the bullpen in the ALDS. So, yeah, the Indians are hurting a little bit, so we'll see. Matt, you like the Red Sox as well?
I do like the Red Sox, and I think part of it's just excuse me, is their ability to hit. I love Mookie Betts. The dude's pretty damn good. I mean, they've got I'm just looking through their roster right here. I mean, yeah, the fact that you're still getting solid production out of quote unquote older guys like Hanley Ramirez and Dustin Pedroia, like they have quite the mix of like young and old. I mean, when you look at the Cubs, it's mostly young. Across the board, it's mostly young. But when you look at the Red Sox, I mean, the fact you got a 40-year-old David Ortiz cranking 38 home runs out, and you've got, you know, like I said, older guys like Hanley Ramirez and Dustin Pedroia, but then you got younger dudes like Xander Bogaerts, you got Jackie Bradley, who's not super young, but he's not super old, Mookie Betts. So I'm a big fan of their hitting, and like Ben said, if David Price can find it, then that's a hell of a good thing in their rotation. I mean, not that he's been awful this year, because he hasn't been awful, but he hasn't lived up to really expectations. So
I mean, they have Price is obviously going to be the number one. Rick Porcello, who I don't know how the hell he did what he did. I mean, 22-4 is unbelievable. Yeah. But you got him. Stephen Wright struggled towards the end of the season, but he's still pretty solid. And then you still got Drew Pomeranz, who I still like. He struggled in Boston, but you know, their bullpen does have big question marks. I guess at the end of the day, is Cleveland going to be able to score, 7, 8, 9 runs a game, which I think it might take to beat Boston. I don't know if they could do that.
So Porcello's getting the game 1 start, by the way.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Porcello game 1, Price game 2. That's gonna be Bauer game 1, Kluber game 2, Tomlin.
Oh, well, that I could see why they would do that.
So, to wrap
Kluber.
To wrap up they'll talk the Indians we just did talk the Indians. So looking at FanGraphs, the Red Sox are a 58-42 favorite over the Indians percentage-wise. And the Rangers are a 52-48 favorite over the Blue Jays or the Orioles. I know that's not entirely what it's supposed to be, but it's the percentage chance that the Blue Jays go to the ALCS is 29%. The percent chance the Orioles go to the ALCS is 19%. and then it's 52% chance the Rangers go. So that's where those come from. So, and Fangraphs has the Red Sox as the clear favorite to go to the World Series out of the AL. So there you go.
I think I saw on Fangraphs that Dodgers though both have a ability to win the World Series. Then I think they were number 1 and number 2, weren't they?
No, the Cubs are number 1 again. So the Cubs are at 19.
Right, and then I think the Dodgers were 2. No.
Yes, the Dodgers are 2 at 17.5.
Yeah,
and then the Red Sox are at 17.1. So interesting stuff. So, all right, before we go into our manic up and down discussion here on the Cubs, any closing thoughts on 2 through 10?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Any closing thoughts on 2 through 10 on the list before we go into our manic talk about the Cubs?
I honestly don't really have. I don't know. To me, I think even though we're Cubs fans and everything, and obviously going to be keeping an eye on everything in the NL, I'm really intrigued by the AL playoffs because I think it's a lot of really solid teams, and the way that the Rangers have sort of exceeded expectations and exceeded what they should be. I'm just curious to see what they are as a playoff team, and like I want to see a Boston Cleveland series. I think that'd be amazing in the ALCS.
Well, you're not going to because those two are playing in the DS.
Well, there you go.
So you're going to get that series, man.
Yeah, but that just makes my point that it would be awesome if they were in the ALCS.
There you go.
So, as you can see, I'm quite the baseball savant.
Oh, you are. You are some kind of savant. All right. So we have the Cubs at number 1.
What?
Who wants to take the lead?
Let's be honest, though. You're an idiot if you don't have the Cubs as at least the favorite.
Yeah.
Not saying they're going to win. I mean, they're so clearly above and beyond the best team in baseball this year that, like, to not have them. I mean, that would be your only argument is, like, how often does the best team actually win? Like, that's your argument. That's a dumb argument. You still pick them.
That's the same argument of me. Why are the Mets going to beat the Giants? It falls in that realm. It's why aren't the Cubs going to win the World Series? Well, they're the best record and the best team doesn't win. Okay, that's not a real argument. That's just
right.
So what do we love about the Cubs? So I think even though in a 5-game series it's not going to matter as much, in a 7-game series it could be absolutely huge that you could trot out 4 good starting pitchers, right? Like any of the 4 guys that the Cubs have that could take the ball for a start in any of the series ahead of us, I feel really good. Right? Like even Arrieta, I know Arrieta's had good Jake, bad Jake type of stuff, but I still feel better with Jake Arrieta than I would with the Nationals sending out Gio Gonzalez. Right? Like, I mean, I still feel better about Jake than I would about most other pitchers.
Mm-hmm. Even with I think troubles, quote unquote.
What they just need to be, and this is where I think having like Joe Madden is good, is like if Jake goes out there and gives you 6 innings, like 6 solid innings, like just get his ass out of the game. Like, I understand what he did last year, but you have to look at the body of work that he's putting out there right now. Like 6 good innings from Jake Arrieta, you need to take that to the bank, get him out of the game, let your bullpen go to work. Let, Strope, Edwards, Rondon, Chapman, whoever, I don't care. Like let those
5
whatever 7, 8, yeah, right, exactly. Like
I'm with you all the way. And if you're penciling in Chapman for 3 of them, then you're saying to Strope, Rondon, Edwards,
right?
You're saying you 3 guys are going to get 6 outs.
Yeah, I mean Grimm in there even. I mean they have such a deep bullpen right now that I don't want them to get stuck in the like, okay, he's having such a good game, like let's let him keep going. Like no, like especially Jake right now because he is struggling so much, specifically with command. Like the last thing you want is 6 solid innings. You're up 3 now, 3-1 game. there, walk the first 2 hitters, get them out of the game, and then you're forcing somebody to come in, in an impossible situation.
Mhm.
I think that's where having a manager like Joe Madden is going to work great, is because he's not going to really care if Jake or Lackey or whoever it is going to be mad at him for pulling him after 6 1/3 or 6 innings, because look, like he's earned that respect at this point. That's what I want to see. That if the pitchers are going to give you 6 innings, I mean, it's like Kyle Hendricks. Like, how often is he going beyond 6 innings? He's not. I mean, it's very rare that he does. So you take those good 6 innings, you get them out of the game, you let your bullpen do work. That's what you have to do.
Right on. So pitching wise, I mean, it is what it is. You hope that your guys pitch the way they have. If they're not, you make a change when you can, and you move on. So,
Well, and that's why you built the bullpen the way you did too. I mean, like you guys said, having a guy like Chapman in that bullpen changes everything. So if you got to go Strop in the 6th, you could do it if you really needed to. If you needed Rondon in the 7th, you could do it if it was that desperate. So, yeah, I would assume, and to your guys' point, that having a guy like Joe Madden makes that easier, because I think Joe's not going to care about a starting pitcher's, psyche or whatever you want to say. He's going to be like, this is the best for the team. I'm bringing in a reliever. We'll get him next time, sort of thing.
All right, so let's talk about what this rotation looks like. So it's going to go. Madden hasn't announced yet, but I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see Lester on Friday, Hendricks on Saturday, and then Arrieta on Monday.
Yeah.
And then is it Lackey for Game 4, no matter what?
Yes. I say no matter what. I think
so, but...
And especially because Lackey's been pitching pretty well for the most part, and Madden's been very complimentary of him lately.
It's not like Lackey's been terrible, and you're just like, oh, he's a veteran, give him his chance. Like, he actually pitched pretty well. So
he's been good all year, and it's just it's one of those things that I think he got hurt and then was out of there for a little while, and when you have a rotation that's
it all depends on the situation. I mean, if it's 2-1, maybe you go Lackey, but he's got such a short leash that that's when you start, and then it's everybody's available type thing, so I could see that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think Lackey's still your Game 4 starter, assuming you need it.
And then Lester goes out there and gets the ball for Game 5.
Right.
Here's a question. Here's the question I'll pose.
Yeah.
To both of you, and I know this is a down the line sort of thing, and we'll, not trying to count my chickens before they hatch sort of thing. But all right, so let's say it goes to Game 5. John Lester pitches Game 5. Cubs win Game 5. Who's your Game 1 starter? Is it Hendricks, or do you move Arrieta up?
Depends on how they pitched in their individual games.
Okay.
I would go.
Let's just say there's no discernible difference between the two. Both had like very similar outings.
If Hendricks is your 2 and neither one of them outpitch the other, then Hendricks starts Game 1 for me.
Yeah.
So, and I would go, because Game 5 would be Thursday. So realistically, Lester's not available until Game 3 on Tuesday. So it would then. So what does a 7-game series look like where Lester has to pitch Game 5, Hendricks Game 1, Arrieta Game 2, Lester Game 3, Lackey Game 4, and then Hendricks, Arrieta, Lester, or maybe you get Lester in there for Game 6. That would put Lester pitching Game 3 on Tuesday, Game 6 Saturday. So that's short rest, but you could do that.
Or you could go Arrieta for Game 6, Lester Game 7.
Yeah. It just depends on, do you do a fresh Arrieta, or do you want just something of John Lester if it's on the line?
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, John Lester's been great. Don't get me wrong, but this isn't Max Scherzer or Gio Gonzalez, like you said. I mean, this is Lester, Hendricks, Lackey, Arrieta. Like, I don't think there's that substantial of a difference between the 4 of them to where it's like you have to worry about jockeying their positions in the rotation and stuff like that.
Okay. So
Like, I think I don't know if you read the article. I honestly forgot who wrote it. It was the Athletic guy about Lester and his like runners left on base numbers that he's had. It just like
Was it
seems
Saadav?
yes. Essentially, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like he has like some ungodly amount of runners left on base that it's almost like his numbers probably shouldn't be as good as they are, and you have to kind of credit the Cubs defense and stuff like that with keeping his ERA a lot lower than it probably should be, just because he does strand a ton of runners, which kudos to him. But like, let's be honest, like I don't look at John Lester pitching and I'm like, man, his stuff is just that much better than everybody else on the Cubs staff. He's had a hell of a season. He's a great pitcher. He's probably I'm not gonna be one of those always a top 10 pitcher or whatever, but like he's not Clayton Kershaw. He's not, what I mean? Like that's not the realm I'm putting him in where we have to get as many possible starts out of him.
Right. I believe Jesse Rogers over on ESPN, he had the stat on Twitter or something, and it's like since the All-Star break, and now this doesn't count what Lester did on Saturday, but I want to say the batting average for players when there's runners in scoring position since the All-Star break was like .076.
Yeah, like
I mean, it's insane, like how terrible teams are hitting.
You just have to look at those numbers and go, are those sustainable? Is that something that you have to worry about? And probably, but for what it is, give him credit for pitching out of the jam. So,
yeah. All right. So we've talked a lot about the pitching. I know for me, what keeps me awake at night is are the Cubs going to be able to hit enough? And I know that sounds ridiculous for as good as the lineup is, but I was like, Chris Bryant went into September with, I think his average was 301, and it's now 292. Right? Like Bryant looks like he's maybe hit a little bit of a wall. That concerns me. They haven't really had to play well hitting for a while now. I mean, are they going to be able to just flip the switch? Ben, you talk about the strikeouts, and it's still a bit of a concern for this team, not like last year's team by any stretch. And they're going to run into that guy, in a 5-gamer. Thankfully the new MLB schedule, like the playoff schedule, benefits the Cubs in that regard, right? Like there's real advantage to playing the wild card team. When you're talking about like San Francisco or New York, like Syndergaard, he's not going to be available, or Bumgarner, they won't be available until game 3 on Monday, the 10th. And then that's it. I mean, maybe they could do like a short session out of the pen on Thursday if they went to like a game 5, but you're not going to have to worry about that as much.
I think that's obviously the benefit you have with being the number 1 seed. I think, again, offensively for me, it's the manufacturing runs.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to come down to. We thought we had this problem fixed with Hayward and Zobrist, and I mean, Hayward's been god awful, but you have to keep him in the lineup. I mean, you have to. You need that defense out there, and it's almost, you hate saying it. It's almost like it's that guaranteed out in the lineup where it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, he's great. I like Hayward because he'll take walks, but at the end of the day, like if you need a timely hit, I hate saying that kind of thing where it's like walks aren't always the best thing. No, I mean, getting base runners on is always good, but if you need that hit with 2 outs and there's a man on, Jesus Christ, like you expect the out with him at this point.
Which sucks. It sucks that a guy who I mean, Cubs fans saw it firsthand last year. You saw how damn good he could be. So that's what makes it a little more frustrating. That is the thing. Like he comes up in those like runner on second or something, and maybe there's only 1 out or 2 outs or something, and then he dribbles that one to second base. Like, God, I'd love to see how many times he's grounded out to second base this year.
Yeah, he has been hitting better since about the middle of September. Since September 14th, he's had 2 hits, 2 hits, 2 hits, 1 hit, 1 hit, 1 hit, 0-0, 1.20.0.011. So he's getting hits more often in games than not getting hits. So that is a plus. He's still sitting. That average is still a little low, but maybe he finds that playoff magic he had last year. He was really good, really, really good last year in the postseason against the Cubs. I mean, he was the only guy that legitimately struck fear in me, at least. So maybe he finds it, but Matt, what about you? What is your big concern? I mean, we didn't really go deep into hitting. Is hitting where your concern is for the Cubs?
I mean, yes and no. It's weird because, I mean, in a sense, I'm not worried, but you kind of have to be. I mean, the pitching's been spot on for the most part all year round or all season long. So it's hard to really feel like there's going to be some big, huge drop off. But there has been those times with the hitting that it's like, they can't buy a hit sort of thing, or they can't buy a hit with runners in scoring position. And I guess the nice thing I get, like you touched on, the fact that Jason Hayward has sort of turned it around, quote unquote, in the last month or half of a month or whatever you want to say. And also you look at a guy like Miguel Montero, who all of a sudden remembered how to play baseball. And I don't know, and part of that's probably because his back is finally feeling better. So that's obviously a huge thing. But it almost scares me a little bit that the Cubs have so many different moving pieces. The fact that you could put in a guy like a Wilson Contreras, and Contreras can play left field, or you could catch, or even Chris Coughlin's been playing fairly well over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and like a Tommy La Stella. Like, does Joe get too worried about moving guys in and out of the lineup instead of sticking with one lineup? Because that might be the thing that scares me. Is I don't know, maybe you take a guy like. I don't even know. It's hard to spec. Like, I guess at the catcher position, like Miggy's been doing so well, and they've had it sort of lined up that, obviously David Ross is going to be with Lester. I believe Montero is going to be with Arrieta. So I think that means Contreras will be with Hendricks. So it's like, do they it's one of those things that I don't like, that these catchers are going to be like 3 days in a row, you're going to have 3 different catchers who could potentially not see any other at-bats. Particularly if you look like Contreras, like I don't know. It's just, that's the thing that scares me, is that there could be a lot of like movement that might sort of jumble up the hitting. But I guess that's my only critique at this point.
It's all fair. And I mean, I'm just looking at this right now and I'm going, all right, well, is it going to be a good or a bad October? I think the thing that really makes me just sad to think about is like, on Monday, this could all be over, right? Like all of this hype and anticipation for the postseason, and it could be over. That does not make me happy. All right, let's real quick, the three of us, let's run through the bracket one more time. Orioles, Blue Jays. We have the Blue Jays, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
Okay. I'm clicking it. I got to drag it. There we go. Boston, Cleveland. Matt, your vote?
Boston.
Ben, you're also for Boston. Correct.
Yeah, Boston.
All right. Toronto, Texas. Ben. Well, Ben's thinking Toronto. Matt?
Going with Texas.
I'm going to go with Toronto, so we'll have them move on. And then to finish out our AL, Boston, Toronto.
Boston.
Matt?
Boston.
Good deal. And then San Francisco versus New York. Matt, San Fran or New York?
San Fran.
Ben?
San Fran.
Okay. Dodgers, Nationals. Ben?
Dodgers.
Matt?
Dodgers.
Okay. Cubs, San Fran.
Cubs.
Matt?
Yeah, I think we know the answer.
Cubs, Dodgers.
I think we know the answer there too.
I'm just making sure.
Cubs,
Red Sox. Is Is this it, guys? That's the question. Is this the year? Ben, do you really believe this is the year?
I don't have a choice but to believe.
Are you set up for the girl? You're taking her to the dance and she's gonna leave you hanging? Or is this the year that she finally dances with you? Right?
Well, I'm going to go Cubs, so.
Are you prepared to have your heart broken again? Like,
Yeah.
you're always guarded, right?
Yeah.
But I think this will be an even more difficult heartbreak, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yes or no. 2003 was awful.
It's interesting.
Can't get too much worse than that.
Yeah.
2003 is the only real heartbreak, like real bad heartbreak that we have as Cubs fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we weren't alive for 84. We weren't old enough in 89. In 98, even though we were young, we knew better. Like, we knew better going into that series against the Braves. It's like, oh, Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox. I know all three of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to end well. Right? Like, you understood that. 03 was magical, and it was just an absolutely devastating end. 07 and 08 were just the epitome of frustration, I think. Right? Like that's how I would describe 07, 08. It was just pure frustration. And then here we are. And then last year, it was a fun ride, and everyone's like, okay, that was fun. But now we want more.
That 08 one sucked. The one against the Dodgers.
That to me was still the frustration.
Mm-hmm.
It's just why is this happening like this?
Yeah, like you're too good to be this bad.
Yeah. Matt, are you scared that you're gonna get stood up?
Yeah, that's been my whole life. So why ruin the party? Yeah, I mean, of course I'll be disappointed, but I'll be completely honest. I thought about this earlier today. I'm gonna say it. I'm confident.
Okay.
I have confidence in this team.
Fucking asshole.
I know. I also picked the Marlins to win the wild card. So
there it is.
Murderer.
All right. So two last questions here. Number one, Ben, series prediction for Cubs Giants. How many games for the Cubs?
Sweep.
Wow. Matt, Cubs
4.
Giants. 4.
4.
I feel like 4 is the number as well, but sweep wouldn't surprise. If it's Cubs Dodgers in the next round, what do you think?
I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not doing this right now.
All right, so we'll do that next week. Hopefully,
in fact, I'm rescinding my sweep. I'm not making predictions with that shit.
Okay, so hopefully next week we'll pod. We might do a mega NFL MLB pod. We'll have to look at the schedule though, because the Cubs are Wednesday will be the night that we record next week. So we'll either
could be very sad.
It could be very exciting. It could be very sad, or it could be that
very stressful too.
Oh my god, to a level that I don't know that the three of us are prepared for.
No.
All right. Closing thoughts. Ben, you go first.
Go Cubs.
Matt.
Kyle Hendricks will be your 2016 NL Cy Young winner.
Wow. Prediction. Prognostication.
You'll be wrong, but that's okay.
Who do you think it'll be, Ben? Do you think it's Lester?
No, I think it's Scherzer.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's gonna be Lester. I think Lester's kind of a little bit of a feel good story for some people. I think Lester's the guy, so we'll find that out shortly. So, for Ben Russo, Matt Urich, I'm Scott Sternal. Thank you for listening, and hopefully, when you hear us next week, we'll be talking about a Cubs victory and not the agony of defeat. So, thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your week.